Now, if there's one brand that is heralded and put up on the proverbial pedestal for its ability to utilize some really high quality raw materials and do such a spectacular job at creating really intriguing olfactive profiles, it is the brand Bortnikoff. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to meet up with Dmitry Bortnikoff when I was in Mexico City at MX Scent, and he was kind enough to introduce me to this fragrance, and this one is called Dubai. Now, of course, I've had a sample pack of Bortnikoff fragrances in the past. Here is one that I recently discovered. I've never tried this one before, so he put me onto this himself, and he said, and I quote, "This is one of my more mass appealing profiles," and that it is. You got to listen to this note breakdown. So we have apple, bergamot, davana, ginger, lemon, pomelo. So the impression here is that it's going to open up very citrusy, very fruity, and citrus notes in and of themselves do possess a high level of mass appeal. In the heart, here are where some of the spices come into the mix, right? So you have cardamom, you have gurjam balsam, jasmine, passion fruit, peach, rose, and ylang-ylang. So that fruity component is prolonged, and then in the dry down, you have amber, nagarmotha, leather, musk, hindi, oud, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla, and vetiver. Listen, I'm gonna tell you all about this fragrance in just a second, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on Dubai by Bortnikoff, I will give you my honest thoughts on this fragrance, how it performs on my skin, longevity, projection, performance, the evolution, all that good stuff. But before I dive into the review, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, and of course, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would help so much, and it continues to enable me to do what I love to do here on the platform. So, of course, if you've tried any Bortnikoff fragrance, you know that this is a brand that utilizes some really high quality raw materials. These raw materials, and I've smelled them, and they're so expensive, and they smell so grounding and so natural. They really connect you to nature, you know? It's one thing when you're smelling real vanilla, and it's another thing when you're smelling ethyl vanillin. It's one thing if you're smelling a handful of dirt, or if you're smelling geosmin. It's one thing if you're smelling real jasmine with its complex molecular structure, or if you're smelling a combination of jasminol and indol and cis-3 hexanol and all these ingredients that are brought together to create a jasmine accord. This fragrance utilizes a lot of natural raw materials. So if that's your thing, if you like natural perfumes, this is one you have to check out. It is fruity, it's citrusy, the passion fruit, the apple, the ylang-ylang, the rose, but then you also have that hindi oud in the background, and I would surmise that is the one ingredient, probably in combination with the nagarmotha, it's one of the ingredients that is actually creating a bit of that animalic base, which, if you know Bortnikoff fragrances, you know a lot of them can be quite animalic because the natural oud that's used in the perfumes has an animalic tendency. It's inherent to the olfactive profile of that raw material. But nevertheless, I'm going to talk to you about the evolution and the longevity and all that good stuff in just a little bit. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. Now, right in the opening of Dubai, you are going to get a lot of those natural ingredients. You are going to get the citrus, you're going to get the fruits. As a matter of fact, the peach and the passion fruit comes across quite loudly in the opening. So I was really impressed by it. I said, wow, it opens up very bold, very flavorful, so on and so forth. And it has that saccharine quality too, which I think is creating the mass appeal. Had it not been for that sweetness that is coming from the fruits and the citrus, I don't think this one would have been as mass appealing, but it does open up so beautifully with the passion fruit and the apple and the pomelo. So it has that citrusy tart profile as well. And did I say lemon before? Yeah, so there's lemon in here. Although it doesn't carry too much zest with it, it doesn't have a tart personality. And I would have imagined the pomelo would have contributed to a bit of tartness, but the ginger is kind of in the background. The pomelo is in the background. The apple, the passion fruit, the peach, and as a matter of fact, believe it or not, the ylang-ylang are brought to the fore quite nicely because it does kind of have this, I don't want to use the word tropical, but I am going to say exotic, fruity, floral personality. But once you spray this on, despite the preponderance of all of these ingredients in the opening, you're also going to notice the darkness that is residing underneath on account of these base notes. So let me just read them off again. You have amber, nagarmotha, leather, musk, Hindi oud, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla, and vetiver. Now, if I were to create some sort of a hierarchy, I would say that the oud and the amber is neck and neck, right? So those are the ones that are kind of vying for attention. You're going to get mostly amber, you're going to get mostly oud, and the nagarmoda could very well be thrown into the mix because a lot of times nagarmoda is used in the synthesis of an oud accord. Despite the fact that this fragrance uses natural oud, I think the nagarmoda is really just thrown in there to create more of a spicy edge, and I totally understand that. Now, the musk is way in the background. The vanilla is joining the amber, the vetiver is in the background, and the sandalwood I think might be somewhere in the middle. And I say that because sandalwood carries with it a bit of a sweeter profile. And like I said, I get the sweetness in the opening, could be coming from the passion fruit, the peach, or the apple. So I imagine that the sandalwood is a contributor to it as well. I do want to give credit to the sandalwood. And it's so smooth, it's so rich. When you wear this fragrance in public, people are gonna know you're wearing something that is not easy to find. You're wearing something that is not mass marketed, something that you can pick up at your local Macy's or Sephora or Ulta. Instead, this is such a beautifully composed fragrance, super high concentration, really rich and high quality level of natural ingredients and natural raw materials. So if that's your thing, check it out, bearing in mind, of course, that the Hindi oud utilized in the background for some people, if you don't have too strong of a familiarity or experience with the note of oud, especially natural varieties of oud, it's going to come across a bit animalic for you. So I do have to sort of throw that out there as a disclaimer. I don't want to go throughout the course of this entire review and not mention that. And then, you pick it up and you say, wait, there's something in the dry down here that smells a bit animalic. There's no castoreum, at least not that's listed in the note breakdown. I don't see any musk, except, well, there is musk, but I'm not sure if it's natural musk. I'm gonna have to ask Dimitri on that. I didn't do so much research as to include, personal interrogations from the perfumer, but their castoreum has a propensity of smelling quite animalic. Musk can actually smell quite clean, right? Especially in its synthetic nature. If you're thinking of perfumes like White Musk by The Body Shop, it comes across smelling very clean, very soapy. So this is what I meant when I said, in terms of animalic ingredients, I'm not really seeing, castoreum or some of these other animalic, or civet, right? Civet can be very funky as well, but I think it's coming primarily from the Hindi oud because you do smell a lot of agarwood in this fragrance. So listen, if you want a mass appealing Bortnikoff, something with sweetness, something with fruitiness, with spice, with some exotic florals, but also with that signature Bortnikoff dry down with the oud and the amber and the resins, Dubai is a beautiful fragrance for you to check out. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, anything you try by Bortnikoff is going to be unique, right? These are not reverse engineered fragrances. These are not mass appealing DNAs. These are not mass marketed DNAs. Everything here is very meticulously put together, very intelligently composed. This is a beautiful fragrance. Get a sample pack, right? Start with that. Try them all on skin, especially if you're wanting to delve into some of the more natural perfumes on the market. This is an amazing place to start and finish. If I'm being honest with you, there's so much to offer and there's so much high quality from this brand, and there's a plethora of different perfume releases. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to try all of the ones that were being carried at My Scent Journey, which is located in Mexico City. And let me tell you something, there's a lot of interesting olfactive profiles that this brand has put out. Longevity, 12 plus hours. Like, forget about it. This lasts eons on skin. And of course, projection for this one well beyond an arm's length for like 2 hours of application. Versatility, I think this one is great for the colder weather, just simply on account of the fact that it lasts such a long time. But if you find a really cool spring evening, I think this one would be fantastic for that as well. Perfectly unisex, although on account of the amber, the woods, the resins, I can see people arguing that this one is going to be a little masculine leaning, but for me, perfectly unisex. And this is more of a dressed up fragrance appealing to a slightly older demographic. As far as the presentation is concerned, really gorgeous presentation. The bottle, the box, everything about it. My final verdict on Dubai by Bortnikoff, natural smelling perfume because, quite literally contains natural ingredients sourced from a natural origin. The beautiful complexity, I'm struggling to find the word to use to describe it. It's quite ineffable. This is a very grounding, beautifully composed fragrance by Dmitry Bortnikoff. And Dmitry, my friend, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to review this one. I think it's a job very well done. And yes, having tried everything that the brand has put out, this is my favorite from Bortnikoff. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you took something of value from today's episode. And if you did, please do consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would mean so much to me, and it enables me to continue to do what I love to do on this platform. So thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode.